Welcome to episode 15, Create Above and Beyond. We're getting into chapter 4 in this episode, and the first thing we need is a lot of sand. So I found a beach. Just playing. We built this awesome factory so we could create stuff in it. Not mine beaches. So, over here, I started chapter 4. And it all starts with the sand. We got an igneous extruder, lava, water on both sides. It makes cobblestone. Cobblestone gets pulled out, goes through its first set of grinding wheels, crushing wheels. That turns it into gravel. Second set turns it into sand, flint, and clay. We only need the sand, avoiding all that stuff. The sand gets pulled out of this box, goes into a fluid encapsulator. That turns it into a ball of sand when you mix it with water. Water's being piped in from down below. I'll take you underneath to show you all that stuff later on. That sand ball comes up this mechanical belt. It's not supposed to go in there. It goes on top of this item drain. It drains it, turns it into fine sand. The fine sand gets pumped into this fluid tank over here to be used later in this process. And you also get sand chunks or something this is called. Yes, sand chunks. That's going to be used later on as well. Let me get rid of this thing. Boom. All right. Now those sand chunks get mixed with an earth charge. That is being made up over here. Let me show you this whole operation. You need basalt, which I'm using another igneous extruder placed on top of soul soil, blue ice, and lava. That makes basalt. The basalt goes into this thing here. This is a minecart loader. So when the minecart travels over it, boom, it picks up the basalt and also a charged fluxo magnet, which I'll show you how I'm doing that in a minute. That does its thing, turns it into basalt shards, and then it drives back over this way once it's activated through the redstone signal. Right now, boom, unloads it right here. The basalt shards go into this box over here. There's extra basalt that it picks up on the way back. That travels over here and gets voided in that crate. So these basalt shards go through a series of crushing wheels right here, and that turns it into basalt powder. Once there's 8 pieces, I think it is, in here, in this basin, this mechanical press crushes it, turns it into the earth charge. That goes into an induction smelter with the sand chunks, and it turns it into purified sand, which that is being used with this stuff right here. From our tree farm, I set up an ender chest. The tree farm I made in episode 1. We're stealing spruce logs from it. Bring them down here. It goes into a pyrolyzer, which I have powered with RF. And that turns the first set into charcoal. But you also get a byproduct, which I'm just voiding off. I have pipes here. They go into nullifiers down below. And we're getting rid of the creosote oil that this is making. So the charcoal goes into another set of pyrolyzers. This turns it into coke. Right here. Boom, same deal. You get creosote oil. That's being voided off by nullifiers. But the coke comes out here, goes through this spout, which is water, wets the coke, then it gets cut. Then that happens again. Wets the coke again. Boom, cuts it. And you end up with this stuff right here, coke chunks. So these 3 things, coke chunks, this stuff that I just showed you, the sand, whatever it was called, and the fine sand that we're making from the sand balls over here is pumped underneath here into this basin. That all gets crushed by this mechanical press, and it turns it into silicone compound, which we need to get to the end of this chapter. But let me break down this whole rail thing, because this was kind of complicated to figure out for me. Now, this ain't the best way to do it, I'm sure, but this is my way of doing it. So I got into how this is a, what is it called? A minecart unloader and a minecart loader, right? So the loader puts in this fluxo magnet. that's the, once that fluxo magnet's charged and there's basalt inside of this rail card here, you end up with this basalt shards. When this thing punches the Invar machine with a laser lamp underneath of it, you get a chemical reaction. So that fluxo magnet comes out and then it goes into this deal here, an energetic infuser, which is charging that fluxo magnet because it needs to be charged. Now, let me move away from here before I die, because that thing hurts you when it does this. Don't stand there. So in order for that fluxo magnet, one of the issues I had was it would just run through this energetic infuser and then send it back out, and then it was losing its charge. So what I did was I set up a redstone signal series up here that's controlled by a timer. This timer I have set to 17 seconds. So when it activates, boom, it kills this redstone torch for a second. And then the fluxo magnet comes out of this brass filter, gets picked up by the rail cart, boom, the chemical reaction happens. So that eliminated the fluxo magnet not being charged. Now, the other thing I had to do was I had to put a delay on how I'm sending the minecart back and forth. I have powered rails, one on each end. So what I did was I added in these redstone repeaters, 3 of them on each side, and then 1 coming off the timer. That's enough to time it so that when this releases the fluxo magnet and the minecart, let me move away from here before I die. That hit me anyway. And the minecart picks up the fluxo magnet traveling from here to there. Hopefully this makes sense. The other issue that I was having was the basalt, because the way I'm pumping basalt into here, it picks it up on its way for the chemical reaction, and it also picks up more on its way back. So I had to filter it out when it was coming out of here, and that's why I'm sending it over to here to be voided away. Eternity. That is how I'm getting silicone compound. And now I need to figure out how I'm going to do this whole contraption, snowball machine. Do either of you two know where there's any snow? These guys gotta know. Yo, bud, you seen any snow anywhere? No? Nobody knows where any snow is. I know. So we're making our own. We're using a blast chiller and we're making snowballs. Water source above gets pumped into it. I got RF coming in from the other side, and a ball cast in here makes snowballs. Set up the same exact setup that we did over there, over here, but for the snowballs. The only difference is in this charger, or it's not called a charger, it's called an energetic infuser. There's an item right here that is called an Entropy Manipulator. That's what you need for the snowballs to do their chemical reaction. And it's going to get picked up right now, and boom. A little off on the timing. But that makes this stuff right here, blitz cubes. We need these crushed down right here through these crushing wheels. And then when it gets 8 of these blitz powders from the crushing wheels, this mechanical press presses it, boom, and you get 1 of these, an ice charge. This ice charge goes into an induction smelter that gets mixed with the silicone compound, and it turns it into silicone, which is what we need. But we need it in a different form. So we have to press it using a deployer and 1 of these, an inscriber silicone press. You can find these by looking at meteorite crash sites, just like this. So instead of traveling the world to find another one of these in case this one breaks, we're going to make copies of it. And you do that with a block of iron on the depot, and we're going to put the inscriber in there, and boom, we'll get extra copies of presses. So now all we got to do is put a piece of silicone on here, and that should stamp it and turn it into printed silicone, which is what we need. Finish up chapter 4 and make these deals. Calculation mechanisms. In order to make the calculation mechanisms from chapter 4, you need one of these deals, flash drive, to arm the last deployer. And in order to make this, you need cobalt iron and a logic processor. The logic processor, you need a printed logic circuit, which in order to make that, you need an inscriber logic press. I don't have one of them, but I noticed this in the market. There is a thing, where was it? Right here. Boom, press express. 2 gold, you get a skystone chest. Let's see what happens. We're going to take 2 gold. We're going to buy the skystone chest. And it better give me. We're after. Calculation, engineering. Imagine that. Bob's your uncle. It's not in there. It says that this is repeatable. And it says we will sell you additional dice rolls. So let's go again. Because I like to gamble. Let's go. Bob's your uncle. You gave me the same exact stuff. Innocent machine, charged Certus quartz, gives you a Meteorite Compass. And when you hold this in your hand, it should point to the closest meteorite crash location. Alright, our 4th one. Are you the lucky one? I think what we have to do is we have to bless this one with a duck. Give me royalties. And Bob's your uncle. Folks, we finally found the logic inscriber press. Alright, we got the logic press. We're back home at the base. We're going to pull this deal out of the casting table, put that on there, pop an ingot of gold in here. Boom, pour it over top of here. We end up with the printed logic circuit. Alright, now we need to turn the printed logic circuit into one of these, a logic processor. So we need a bucket of destabilized redstone. We're doing that, getting it out of the magma crucible. Just put redstone in there, turns it into destabilized redstone. Set up a little temporary janky setup here to do this. We're gonna put the destabilized redstone in there. That's gonna pump it into there, hopefully. Go, boom. Now we take this printed logic circuit, put it in the hand. Take our printed silicone, press it, move it over to here, pour it, and then move it over to here, stamp it. Boom. We got a logic processor. Bind that with a piece of iron, piece of cobalt. You get the flash drive. But because we're rich, we're gonna get an unbreaking one. The market. Boom. We have an enchanted flash drive that is unbreakable, supposedly. Now I need to set up our final process, and we should be done with chapter 4. We're finishing up chapter 4 right here. I got the 3 deployers in a row, just like every other chapter has had. I put the Windows 11 update chip in the last one, and I just have to load them. So for now, I'm just going to pull out 2 stacks of these. We'll throw them on the belt right here. This should split them. Then half to the left and half to the right. Perfect. Eventually I'll automate this, just put a funnel in there. Let that load up. And then in this chest here, we're gonna pop in chapter 3, inductive mechanisms. Stack of these guys. Boom. They're gonna run through, get stamped. Stamped again. And then this deal. And we got calculation mechanisms. Now while that runs, I have to do something real quick. Because in order to get the ME controller, we need another trade station. So I'm just going to pop this one down right here for now. There's power right there. And we have to go to early shipping. We need blackstone right here. I need silver before I do any of that, huh? Okay. Let's try that again. We need blackstone. That should give me an import card. It did. We'll take this import card, pop it right in here in the bottom, put the silver up here, and we should get blackstone. We do. Boom. Now we can take the blackstone. One piece of blackstone and a lead plate gives you fluix casing. Now we need to go back over here and grab 8 of these new deals. And then back over here to my only crafting table down here, unfortunately. Pop this guy right here and this guy right here. And guess what we get? An ME controller. This area right here is where I'm going to set up my ME system. But that is going to be another day, another episode. And we also have to figure out one last thing, because we're going to the moon. And Knuckle, he's coming with us in the spaceship. So hopefully they make spacesuits for cats. Because if they don't, he might die. Anyway, thanks for checking out the episode, y'all. Have fun and peace!